evening, Tahir. How are you?
Good evening, Pak John. How are you? Fine.
Could you tell me more about yourself?
My name is Tahir Ahmad. I live in Milpitas. My day job is an engineer. So I'm a member of Ahmadiyya Muslim community in USA. I'm also serving as the Muslim youth leader in our community.
When you say
Ahmadiyya.
when you say youth group, are they Indonesian youth group or they're all different ethnic?
Yeah, different ethnic. Basically, in our community, there are different auxiliaries. So there are auxiliaries for ladies. There are auxiliaries, basically auxiliaries for women, auxiliary for men under 40, and then which is basically the youth. The youth is basically under 40, and then auxiliary for men above 40 and older. So there are three. So I'm actually the local youth president for this chapter.
And how many Indonesian in the Bay Area are from Ahmadiyya, approximately?
There are, so my family, there are three of us, plus there's one student in Berkeley. So, sorry, there and another one in Bay Point, Chris Kabari. So there are five.
Oh, five of you, okay. So it's a small minority in the Bay Area.
Small minority within
Bay
the
Area.
Ahmadiyya Muslim.
Okay, so can you tell me more about Ahmadiyya?
So Ahmadiyya Muslim community was established in 1889. The founder is Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, and we believe him as the second coming of Messiah. So he is basically the Messiah that is being waited. This is what we believe by Muslim, by Christian. So when he arrived, his mission is to bring the true teaching of Islam, introduce the true teaching of Islam to the world. So that is his mission. So established in 1889 in India, and then it grew in different parts of the world. So right now there are about 204 countries. It's hard to estimate how many of the members, but because like in some parts of the world, when they join the community, they are like big numbers of people. So, but we believe the numbers are in tens of millions. And in the United States, there are about 15,000 members. In Indonesia, there are about 500,000 members.
And most of the Ahmadiyya live in what country? Most of Ahmadiyya, they live in which country?
Most of the Ahmadiyyas live in either Pakistan and African countries.
Pakistan and African countries, okay. So how are you different than, let's say, the Shiite or Sunni?
So I think I think maybe I would do justice if I say what we actually the same of, and then I go with what we differ. So we are actually following the Prophet Muhammad. So we are actually followers of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing of God upon him. And when the reason we are different is we are actually believing the promised Messiah who is prophesied by Prophet from Muhammad himself already arrived. So that's why that's when we actually differ with them.
Are you saying there's a difference of Messiah between Sunni or Shiite and Ahmadiyya?
Well, the Sunni and the Shia and other Muslim sects, they are still waiting for this Messiah to come. While we already believe he's already arrived.
Oh, and who is it?
So he is the founder of Ahmadiyya Muslim community. His name is Mirza Ghulam Ahmad.
This is the one in 1889?
Yes, so he was born in 1835, but the community itself was formed in 1889.
Okay. So why is that we hear from Indonesia that Ahmadiyya, there's a lot of, you call it Ahmadin, right?
So the members, we call ourselves Ahmadis.
Ahmadis, okay.
Ahmadis,
So,
Ahmadi, plurals Ahmadis, and basically the names come from Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. So Ahmad. So we are follower of Ahmad as well. Like in addition, follower of Prophet Muhammad.
so why is the Ahmadis being persecuted in Indonesia?
So it's actually not just in Indonesia. So in different parts of Muslim world, Ahmadis are actually being persecuted because of disbelief in Messiah has come, and it's controversial in Muslim world because in a lot of Muslim they believe that there is no other prophet after Prophet Muhammad, and so basically the mainstream Muslims believe that the prophethood is close after Prophet Muhammad.
When you say mainstream, we are talking about the Sunni or the Shiite.
Right. So basically like non-Ahmadis. The Muslim non-Ahmadi would believe that there will be no other prophet after Prophet Muhammad. So where we believe is actually we still believe in like the final prophethood of Prophet Muhammad, but it doesn't mean that there is no other prophet after him. So we believe that God still speaks or still give revelation to people. So God never stops speaking, or God never stopped giving revelation to people. So when Mirza Ghulam Ahmad received revelation, and then we believe him as basically a prophet.
Okay. So could you tell me more about what happened in Indonesia as far as the Ahmadin?
Well, actually, Ahmadiyya in Indonesia was established in 1925. So this is even before the independence. And actually, there were quite a bit of history. A lot of the members of Ahmadiyya actually are part of this movement for independence of Indonesia. And so a long history, and then hundreds of thousands of members. But there are, Indonesia actually quite tolerant. But unfortunately, there are some groups of people who trying to use or find some minority groups, and I don't think this is just exclusive to Ahmadis. I think I also see that in the Christians, the Shia themselves also got persecuted because to me, I'm not going to talk about politics, but this is just for their own benefit. They're trying to look for the minorities, trying to show their power, and Ahmadis are actually I wouldn't say the easiest target, but I would say is the best target for them, because Ahmadis believe in non-violence. So whenever we are being persecuted, Ahmadis never retaliate back. We always respond with peace. We respond with prayer. So a lot of our response are mostly our internal struggle. So in Pakistan itself, people are getting killed in daily basis. Just about 2 days ago, there were three people were gunned down in Pakistan, and this has happened in daily basis, unfortunately. In Indonesia, if you remember, I think back in 2010 or 2011, I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact year, but I can look that reference three, but there were three members of the community were killed, and it was video in YouTube, and it was actually went viral. And it was just like in front of police, and it was very sad. But that's what has happened in Indonesia, unfortunately. And even just recently, there was still some mosques belong to the Ahmadiyya Muslim community being closed by the police or by the local community religious leaders.
This is in Indonesia, right?
Yeah, this is in Indonesia.
Okay, go ahead. And also another thing is you mentioned a few historical people that actually helped the independence of Indonesia. Could you name some?
Unfortunately, I cannot really, because these are the stuff that I really have to get reference, so I'm not gonna be able to say
okay. That's fine.
In the interview. But if you're really interested, I can look the names.
Okay. And as far as the now you say Ahmadi are peaceful. Can you serve the military, or maybe that's the reason you cannot serve? Or could you tell me more on that?
Actually, Ahmadis are encouraged to serve the country in whatever capacity, including being a member of army or air force or navy. In Indonesia, there are Ahmadis who are serving in those capacity. In US, there are a lot of Ahmadis serving in those capacities as well. And there is no, we don't have any conflict by serving, the country with our faith, because Prophet Muhammad himself said that, serving your own country is part of the faith.
Okay. So when there are persecution in Indonesia for Ahmadi, what usually is the other organization of Ahmadi do outside Indonesia?
So when the persecution happened, what normally would happen is the Ahmadis outside their that country. So basically, for example, when the three Ahmadis were killed in Indonesia some years ago, the members in US, the members in Canada, the members in European countries, they all sent letters to the president of Indonesia at the time, Bapak SBY, and even myself, I remember I faxed letters just to say our concern, especially because we knew Indonesia is actually tolerant country, and then it's being established, basically acknowledging different religions, and then the country or the government should actually protect that freedom. So when that happened, it really concerned us, because not just because we are sad that part of one of the members are being murdered, or we call it being martyred, but it's not just that, because we also worried that the countries are going in this slippery slope. So just to give some reference, like what happened in Pakistan. So Pakistan is a country where Ahmadis actually, by law, the government actually declare Ahmadis are non-Muslim, and they actually have a law where if Ahmadis are declare themselves as a Muslim by doing Muslim tradition, like greetings, even Muslim call for prayers, they can be put in jail. And that happened, that many Ahmadis are being put in jail. So this law is actually in Pakistan, and then you see, everyone in the world now see how bad Pakistan is. The state of Pakistan is really bad in like unimaginable way compared to like 20-30 years ago. And this law was established in 1970s. So you can see if Indonesia were about to do the same, like today or some years ago, you can imagine that it will go into that state sooner or later. So that's what we worry about. It's not just because we worry about our members, but we also worry about Indonesia itself.
I see. And what is the response from SPY, the president?
Well, I don't know if you remember, but he was actually being interviewed by Charlie Rose.
Yes, I do.
Not very long after that incident, maybe about 4 or 5 months after that. It's about the same year. So he was interviewed by Charlie Rose, and I remember, like, one of his reaction was he is basically being very careful. He's trying to how would you say it? He's trying to please a lot of different people or different groups that have interest in the matter. He didn't say it's wrong, but he also didn't say it's right. So it's very difficult. I mean, I personally didn't understand what his position myself, but the good thing is, at least I can see that law actually never got into established itself, but it's in some region actually it did get established. So I'm talking about the law that declaring Ahmadis are non-Muslim. So it's never get established, by grace of God, actually never get established, which is a good thing. But in the same time, that's not really very direct or very open message from the president at the time that, hey, Ahmadis are Indonesian citizen, we have to protect them. Anyone who are actually violating that, they should go to jail. It didn't happen, and you can even research this. Like, the people who were actually killing these three Ahmadis, in that time, they were actually being released in only several months. And just to make it even worse, some of the members who actually survived this attack, he was actually put in jail. So he was in jail for I think about 6 or 9 months, and the reason is because it's unbelievably, I couldn't even imagine what kind of reason they can put to this poor person. So he already almost lost his life, and after he recovered, he spent his time in jail. And the person who actually did the killing spent about the same amount of time with this person. So this kind of thing still happening in Indonesia, so we as a citizen of Indonesia, I'm still an Indonesian citizen, even though I live here for a while now. So I'm always speaking. I try to convey this message. So this is wrong. So it has to be fixed if we want people to think that we are actually that great country who actually protect the freedom of religion. So we should really act like we say we are, which is unfortunately sometimes not. So if Indonesia wants to be better in the future, or actually be that great country, what I think they have that big potential for it, they have to fix this important issues.
Okay. Do you have any last message for Kabari's reader?
So I think one of the things that I was told by you actually, you were having a hard time to find Indonesian Ahmadi in US. So now here I am. So if you need some references or need to interview some other members, like higher officer, you can contact me. And then if you want to learn more about Ahmadiyya, we have a lot of activities. So one thing I want to maybe leave this interview with is we Ahmadis we are serving the community, we're serving the humanity. So we are looking forward for any cooperation with other different faith, different group, if it's for serving the community, serving the humanity. And so me, and then if you have that sort of activities, feel free to contact me.
Okay, thank you, Tahir. Until we meet again.
Thank you, Pak John.
Thank you.
All right.